Okay, so for 9C, our intention in this is to be able to figure out what we call the five-figure summary. Or some people might see it as five-number summary as well. Okay, basically it's a group of five numbers, okay, that represents a set of data. That's all it is. And as our criteria for success, you need to be able to figure out or calculate your five-figure, and also calculate your upper and lower fences, and then determine your outliers. So I mentioned before that this data here, if you look at the previous lesson, has an outlier. Okay, that's an outlier. And it's basically one set of data, or a set of data that's not really belonging to the rest of the data, or it doesn't actually fit with the rest of the data. So that's an outlier, but you're going to need to be able to determine your five-figure summary, and then your upper lower fence and your outliers. So let's get into it. Right, so let's go to this page if you're not already there. Your five-figure summary is basically five values, so five numbers that provides an overall picture. Okay, so it's basically summarizing the data that you have. So five numbers that summarizes the data that you have. And we split it into five different parts. So you've got your minimum, your lower quartile or Q1, your median or your Q2, upper quartile, and then your maximum value or your maximum. So basically, you're just telling me in your data set, what's the minimum, what's the lower quartile, what's the median or the Q2, what's the upper quartile or Q3, and then what's the maximum number. So that's just those five numbers to basically summarize the data. Now, some things to note is you may have not seen these before. Actually, you would have seen this, but you may have not known what a Q1 or a Q3 is. Have you guys done that back in your schools? No? Okay, that's okay. Q1 and Q3, these are the ones that people get really confused about. Minimum and maximum, really easy. It's just the smallest and the highest number. Right? Median, easy. It's just the middle number. Okay? Q1 and Q3. So Q1 is the middle of the lower half. So the bottom half, look at the middle. And then Q3 is basically the middle of the upper half of your numbers. So it's all about cutting your numbers in half, or cutting your data in half. Yep. I'm glad it does. All right, so we're going to try and figure out what is the five-number summary for your data set. I think there is one here already. So let's do this together. For this following data set, what I want you to do is whenever you get a question like this, always lay it out like this. So you want to write down what is the minimum, what is Q1, what is the median. You can also write Q2 if you want to, but I like to put the median. What is Q3, and then what is the maximum. So lay it out like this. Minimum, Q1, median, Q3, and your maximum. So for this data set, one thing that a lot of kids forget to do is to always put the number in numerical order. So you can see that this is already done for us, but sometimes it's not quite in numerical order. Okay, so you'll have to watch out for that, because generally it's one of those little silly mistakes that people or students won't do properly. Alright, so whenever I do these questions, I always start with the easiest ones, the minimum and the maximum. So anyone want to tell me what's the lowest, what's the highest? 9 and 40, yes? So lowest is 9, highest is 40, easy. Okay, and the next step there is to find the median. So find the middle number. Now you can go ahead and actually do it by eye, but I do like to use that formula of n plus 1 divided by 2 to help me find the middle number. So here you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. There's 15 numbers. So 15 plus 1 divided by 2 equals 8. Okay, so that means the middle number is the 8th number, which is, what did you say? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm just going to circle it so we know that that's my median. So the middle number is 20. So now we find, oh yeah, so that's the formula to find the median. Shaya? Oh, sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry. So the next one is now, how do you find Q1 and Q3? So as I said, Q1 is basically the middle of the lower half. Now, some people make the mistake of including the median for this. So this is the lower half. That is incorrect. The lower half does not include the median.
Does it include the minimum?
Does not include the median.
Does it include the minimum?
So it includes the minimum, but for Q1, you're only looking at the lower half, excluding the median. So you don't include the 20. That's not part of it. Okay. So if you look at the data set here, what's the middle number? I can just use my eye and see it's that 18. So Q1 is 18. And then the next one, Q3, same thing, it's the middle of the upper half, but you do not include the median. So what's the middle number here? 33. There is my 5-number summary to represent my data. Okay, that's all you're doing for your 5-number summary. Easy? Yeah, really easy. Now this is pretty straightforward when you have odd amounts of numbers. Okay, just an odd amount. But when you have an even amount of numbers, it's the same thing, but it does require a little bit more work. Okay, so we're going to go into the next one, and we're going to do even number of numbers. Okay, so that's for your odd numbers. Let's go to this one, even amount of numbers. So this one's a little bit trickier because it's even amount, but same procedure. Always start with the minimum. Wrong color. Write it down. So you have to do minimum, do Q1, do your median, your Q3, and then your max. Just remember that your median is the same as Q2. It's the same thing. But I prefer to use median. Okay, so for my data set, just say it out, guys. What's the minimum? What's the maximum?
982.
Easy. 9 and then 82. Okay, so for the median, find the middle number. So you can actually go ahead and find it by eye, but again, you can do that formula of n plus 1 divided by 2 for the middle number. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So there's 16 numbers. So Marie, this is the formula you use to find the median position. Not the actual median, just the median position. So there's 16 numbers divided by 2, and that will equal 8.5. So that means my median is the 8.5th number. So if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.5 is right here. So that means my median is between 20 and 25. If your median is between two numbers, all you have to do, I'll use another color for this, is 22.5, but you calculate that by adding these two together, and then you divide it by 2. Okay, so it's going to be 20 plus 25 divided by 2, and it is 22.5. Okay, so my median is right there, 22.5. And then same procedure now for finding your lower Q1, lower quartile. So you do not include the median when you're doing your Q1.
So you include the 20?
Yes, because that's not the median. Yeah, the median is between 20 and 25. Okay, so you include the 20 in this one because the median is not actually 20. Okay, so in this case, the middle number is going to be between 18 and 18, somewhere here. So I can say that if that's the case, obviously the median will be 18. Okay, so 18. And then for my upper quartile, upper half, over here, similar thing. Middle number will be between 33 and 55. So you're going to do this again. So add them together. So 33 plus 35, and then you divide it by 2. And that should be 34. So your middle number is 34. Hey. Oh, yeah. Okay. Shh. So let's keep going. So that's basically my 5-number summary. All right, nice and easy. Again, just watch out for wherever you're meeting. If it's between two numbers, you just got to add them up and divide it by 2. Okay, that's where the middle number will be. All right. Next part here. So you've got your 5 number summary, easy. Next is your different types of spreads, measures of spread. Okay. Now your measures of spread can only really be found if you have your 5 number summary. Okay. And basically, it's a way to describe how varied or how widespread your data is. So the bigger the number, the more spread out it is. The smaller the number, the lesser the spread is. So everyone knows the range. It's the maximum minus the minimum. Okay, really, really easy. But the interquartile range, so the IQR, is slightly different. It's basically Q3 take away Q1. So what you're looking at is your 5 number summary, and you're just going to go Q3 take away Q1. That's the IQR, interquartile range. So it's basically the range in the middle half of your data. Okay, so if I was to look at this data here, it's basically the range. I'm just going to get rid of this. For this set of data here in the middle. What is the range in here? That's all the IQR is. Okay, that's the interquartile range. Okay, so if it asks you for the IQR, it's just Q3 take away Q1. That's all it is. So use your 5 number summary, Q3 minus Q1. Okay, so for this data here, let's find the interquartile range. So we've got a data set. Okay, this is from basically the previous data that we've done. The range here, so remember the range is maximum minus the minimum. So I would write this down if I was you guys. Please have this in your notes. Max minus min, so 82 take away 9, which equals 73. So the range for the data set, max minus min, 82 minus 9, 73. Interquartile range, or the IQR, so if it asks for IQR, you're just looking for this, Q3 take away Q1. That's all the IQR is. So in this case, Q3 is 34, Q1 is 18, which equals 16. No, yeah, 16. So the interquartile range is 16, IQR. Make sense? Yep, easy. So those are the 2 different ranges. All right. Now, the final part for this lesson, outliers. Okay, good. Shh, thank you, guys. So outliers, the last part, is basically now using everything you've found here. So you've got your 5 number summary, your IQR, and your range. Okay, you are now going to use that to figure out outliers. So an outlier is basically any sort of data that's outside, okay, of the vicinity, which means it's very far away from the rest of the data. So that's what that means. Outlier is outside or far away from the rest of the data. And you can find your outliers using what we call fences or boundaries. Okay, so you need to be able to calculate your 5 number summary, your IQR, in order to get the fence. Okay, so there's 2 fences. Think of a fence as like your limit. You can never go past them. Anything past the limit is an outlier. So you've got your lower fence, and then you've got your upper fence. So obviously, your lower fence belongs in the lower part of your data, so somewhere out the bottom here. Like, for example, a lower fence could be like over here. Okay, and then your upper fence is obviously in your upper half of the data over here. Can anyone already find an outlier in this data set? 82, yeah, because it's really high compared to everything else. But we have to prove that it is an outlier using this. So you probably have never done this before, but you need to make sure you understand these. These are your formulas for your fences. Okay, so make a note that this is your formulas for your fences. So if you want to find an outlier on the lower part, then you use your lower fence. And if you want to find an outlier on your upper or higher part of your data, use your upper fence formula. Okay, generally you'll be required to find fences for both. So let's do that here. So for the following data set, let's find any outliers. I won't get you to do the 5-number summary again because we've already done it, but I'll get you to write it here. So let's write the 5-number summary. Okay, so write down the 5-number summary. But one thing I want you to include here as well is your IQR. Okay, you're going to need to know the IQR. So include that in there. So minimum was 9. 9, 18. Median was, I think, 24. 22.5, sorry. Q3 was, what was that here? 34. And your maximum was 82. And then IQR 16. Okay, we calculated the IQR previously. Remember, IQR is just basically, where is it here? Q3 minus the Q1. Okay, so 16. Now this is how I want you to lay out when you calculate your fences. Generally in year 11, because the way that you do the SAC is a bit different, you need to make sure you lay it out properly. So lay it out like this. Just make 2 halves there and do LF, or actually I'll write it for you here. So this is your lower fence and this is your upper fence. So calculate it like this.
Is that how you have to write it?
Yeah, because in year 11 there's no set way to show it, but I think this is the clearest way to do it. So cut it in half and make 2 sections there. So lower fence and upper fence. So you're going to calculate the lower and the upper. Right, your lower fence formula, always write it down. Okay, always write it down. So for LF or lower fence, it's going to be Q1 take away 1.5 times IQR. So that's your lower fence formula. I'm going to rewrite it so it's neater. Sorry. Oops. Let's rewrite that. So the lower fence is equal to Q1 take away 1.5 times the IQR. Hey, Mr. Ledden.
Yeah.
Good. So using that formula, okay, make sure you rewrite it because it's quite helpful to have it on you all the time. So the lower fence is going to be Q1. So just look at Q1. It's 18. Take away 1.5 times my IQR of 16. Okay, so when we calculate that, put it in your calculator. So 18 take away. Your calculator should know BODMAS times 16. -6. Okay, so that means anything that's lower than -6 is considered to be an outlier. Okay, but obviously if you look at the data, is there anything below -6? No. So there's no outliers in the lower fence, but most likely in the upper fence there will be. So the upper fence formula is going to be Q3 plus 1.5 times IQR. Oops. So just notice the difference between lower fence and upper fence. The formulas are slightly different, but they both use the interquartile range. That's why I get you guys to actually write it down here as well. All right, next part. So let's finish this off.
So if there was a question in the SAC that said, are there any outliers?
You have to do this.
working out?
You have to show you working out. I know it's a lot.
Even if you know it's in there?
Even though you know it's in there, you have to show the working out. Okay, what they want to see is the formulas and you using it. Okay, so the upper fence is going to be Q3, which is 34 plus 1.5 times an IQR of 16. So the IQR is the same. Use the same IQR. And then putting that in your calculator, just get rid of this. It's going to be 34 plus 1.5 times IQR. Good, yep. So 58. That means any number higher than 58 is an outlier. So obviously, I can see that 82 is going to be an outlier. So what people normally do is they write underneath 82 is an outlier. Okay, because it's above the upper fence of 58. Yeah, makes sense so far? Any questions with that? I think that might be it for this. Okay, cool. So that's how you do your outliers. So really quickly, I'm going to ask you guys with our learning intention and success criteria, do we understand what an outlier is? Yes, okay. So can we calculate 5-figure summary? Yeah, easy. And upper and lower fence and outliers? Pretty straightforward. Yeah, so just, again, I'll upload this when I get the time. But watch over it again if you're not used to it. Yes.
So is it always you're taking away or plussing 1.5?
Yes. So if it's the lower fence, so have a look at the formula. It's going to be Q1 minus 1.5 times IQR. If it's
it's always 1.5.
Yes, it's always 1.5. If it's the upper fence, it's going to be Q3 plus. Okay. And the 1.5 is used because it's basically 1.5, or basically 50%, if you think about it. Okay. All right, I'll stop there.